Hi guys, welcome to Freedom Tarot. So today we'll be doing like what kind of Dharma advice. Then I'll be using these three books. This book, this one, this one. So these three books actually I got from Temple. I'll put the link down below for you to read the books. So now I'll go to start with the first pile. You all can meditate and see which pile you are most drawn to. I actually picked pile 1, so okay, let's start. Okay, never mind. Okay, so let's start. So for pile 1, what Dharma advice? So I'll talk about your current situation. So it's like right now you're at a transition and then you have a lot of different opportunities. Or maybe you're trying to make a decision right now. So let's ask for advice. So page 53, okay. Okay, so do you think that some Buddhists may suffer from what a fundamentalist view of Buddhism? I think you can pause if you want to continue reading, so I just feel like if I read there's too much to read. Okay, if you want you can just pause. I think I will go to the next part. Okay, is it done? Okay. Then I will get some advice from this book now. So what page? Page 20. Okay, page 20. Is there any second paragraph? Okay. If we aren't willing to challenge some fundamental views that we have about life, instead of liberation and enlightenment being the most important things we want to accomplish, paying the bills and having a good social life become the most important things we do. To pay the bills, we have to go to work. To go to work, we have to buy particular clothes and drive a certain car because we have to portray a certain image to get that kind of job. To get these clothes and that car, we have more bills to pay. So we go to work to pay the bills to get the things that we can go to work. Does this make any sense? Okay, what is he talking about? Okay, so I think it's telling you to not make a decision based on your daily life. For example, like there are many trivial things around you, right? Okay, it's telling you not to like care so much about all the little things and make a decision that fulfills what makes you truly happy. Okay, so this part may be important, the happiness part. You can pause and read this part, yeah. I mean, you can just download the PDF if you want to read the whole book, so I feel like it might be important to you, so you can read this part about real happiness. What is happiness? Yeah, just pause it if you want to read. I'll go to the next part. So now the last one, you just pick a number and it'll tell you a phrase. This book is quite simple actually. Number 43. Okay, so 43. I'm not following the pages. I'm following like all these. You see these numbers? Okay, 43. The more you try to see something, the less clearly you can see it. Only when you are relaxed can you see things as they are. Those who don't try to look for anything else, they don't look for anything, see more. I think it's telling you to relax lah, yeah lah. Or do you want me to say anything else? I think you understand the purpose of the 3 books, so. Okay, so this is the end of the first part. Thank you. I don't want to say much because you should spend time reflecting on the words that the books can give you. I feel like that's more beneficial. Okay. So the second part. Let me feel your energy. Okay. So right now, I feel like you're contemplating something based on the card, and then you're contemplating something. Okay. So I'll take this first book first. What page does this pile need? Pile to what page? Page 60, okay. 60. Okay, let's see. What's the question first? Okay. There's no way one can say my happiness is more important than others or my suffering hurts more than others. When we understand that being happy is the fundamental wish of every sentient being, we know something very important about everyone and can see beyond his or her negative actions. Looking inside ourselves, we see that we want to be happy and free from suffering, yet we act destructively due to our ignorance, confusion, anger, attachment, jealousy, and arrogance. Likewise, other people do harmful actions because they too are confused, just like we are. People do not harm others because they are happy. Nobody wakes up in the morning full of joy and says, I feel so good, I think I'm going to hurt somebody today. Laugh. Nobody hurts people when they are happy. People hurt others because they are not happy. They hurt others because they are miserable and confused. When we understand that is why the terrorists did what they did, we can have compassion for them. That does not mean we say that what they did was right, good, or acceptable. Their actions were abominable. Their actions harmed thousands of people, affected the entire world, and created incredible negative karma that will cause the terrorists to experience suffering in horrible rebirths for a long time. Thus, we can have compassion for them and wish them to have happiness. At first, it may seem odd or inappropriate to wish for those who have perpetrated such harm to be happy. But if you think about it, if the terrorists were happy, they would not be doing terrorist activities. In wishing them to be happy, we don't necessarily wish them to have everything they think will make them happy. Many times we human beings think something will make us happy when it won't. For example, wishing an alcoholic to be happy does not mean we wish him to have all the liquor he wants, even if he thinks that is going to make him happy. Rather, we wish him to be free of dependency on alcohol or any other substance. We wish him to have self-confidence and awareness of his beautiful inner potential so that he does not seek to medicate his pain by using alcohol or drugs. Similarly, we want the terrorists to have happiness, but not the false happiness that comes from perpetrating or rejoicing at terrorist activities. Instead, we want them to have a correct understanding of their own religion, to develop kindness towards all beings, to have a sense of their own virtuous potential, and to have a constructive purpose in life. If you want to read the rest, you can pause. Okay. Now you can pause the video or you can just download the PDF. Okay, now let's go to the next book. Okay, what page do you need? What page? So page for Pao 2, what page? 57. 57 is okay. Giving up bad company. When you keep their company, your 3 poisons increase. Your activities of bearing, thinking and meditating decline, and they make you lose your love and compassion. Give up bad friends. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. The term bad friends in this verse doesn't mean other people are bad. It means our own mind gets uncontrolled around them, or the other person has non-dharma values, and when we hang around them, we come under the detrimental influence of these values. Parents tell their children, don't hang around other kids who are into drugs and alcohol. Why do they tell their kids that? Because they know if their children stay around people who drink and drug, they will start doing it too. Now the big question comes, why do some parents socialize with people who drink and drug? They say one thing to their kids and do another thing themselves. When we hang around people who swear, we start to swear. When we socialize with people who gossip and talk about others behind their back, we begin to do that too. We lose our mindfulness and awareness and get involved in many harmful actions. If you become friends with people who value making as much money as possible, even doing slightly shady or deceptive activities, it is easy to get drawn into their world. If our friends are people who are the busiest of the busy, then we too will feel that we aren't valuable unless we are overwhelmed by too many things to do, people to see and places to go. The reason our 3 poisons increase is not because the people are bad, but because our minds are uncontrolled. These people may have values that are not conducive to human happiness, or they may be totally wrapped up with sense pleasures, wealth, and reputation. Coming under their influence, we waste time pursuing things that are of no ultimate value from a Dharma point of view. Making good friends is incredibly important on our path. Our spiritual heart is the most important part of ourselves. And if we associate with people who value that, they will nurture that part of us. Our mind stream contains many seeds, and depending on what environment we put ourselves in and who we are friends with, they water certain seeds and not others. Dharma friends nurture the Dharma seeds in our mind. Lazy friends water our lazy seeds. Resentful friends feed our resentment. Which seeds in us do we want other people to water? According to what our answer is, we should cultivate those kinds of friends. When we tell our Dharma friends, I'm going to a retreat, they say, great, tell me about it, I want to come with you. If you tell your worldly friends, I'm going to go to a retreat, they say, what in the world are you doing that for? Are you going to sit on a cushion for a whole weekend? Get alive, do something interesting. These people discourage our Dharma practice, and then doubts enter our mind. They are right. I'm going there to sit on a cushion. Why should I do that? My mind just gets distracted and my knees hurt. It's better to go to the beach with my friend. Our activities of hearing, thinking and meditating decline because these friends don't support these activities. They want you to go out to the movies, go to a disco, go shopping or stay home and watch TV. They make us lose our love and compassion because instead of being able to meditate on love and compassion, we continually have to justify and explain ourselves. We get upset with their dishonesty and pretension. We argue with them, trying to get them to change, or we worry they won't like us because we don't participate in their activities. So give up bad friends and relieve yourself of all the stress of being with them. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Yeah, okay. So now the last book is a simple verse from this book. So pick a number, let me feel. 73, okay. 73 is 73. Okay. Once you become more experienced in meditation, you will start to think that you understand what it is about. But jumping to such a conclusion will prevent you from deepening your understanding. Okay. So keep an open mind. Okay. Thank you, Pile 2. This is the end of your reading. So I'll go to Pile 3 now. So welcome Pile 3. So first we'll pick a page from this book. So for Pile 3, what page should I pick? Pile 3. Page 84. 84 is what? 84 is... Okay. How should one prepare for a loved one's death? What? Okay. I mean, just read in the weeks or months before the person dies, express your positive feelings for your loved one. Tell the person you love him or her. Write a letter if you can't speak to the person directly. Okay, I feel like you can just see any of the points you want, then you can pause this part. Then I'll go to the next book. Okay, let's see. So for the second book, what page for the second book? Page 79, okay. 79 is, okay. We might worry if I don't take care of myself, then I will be miserable because no one will take care of me. Seeing the disadvantages of self-centeredness and the benefits of cherishing others doesn't mean we neglect ourselves. On the contrary, it enables us to care for ourselves in a healthy way. The way of self-centered mind cares for us results in our being miserable now and creating the negative karma that results in future suffering. When we care for all sentient beings, ourselves and others, we can take care of our body and mind in a healthy way so that they can be used to work for the welfare of others. For example, we keep our body healthy not with self-preoccupied panic and worry, but with compassion for ourselves and others in order to use our body to practice the Dharma and benefit others. While self-centeredness causes us to not eat properly, cherishing others will lead us to take care of this body by eating properly. We need a healthy body to help others. This leads to another practice called taking and giving, or Tonglen, in which we imagine taking on the suffering of others with great compassion and using their suffering to destroy our own self-centeredness. Then we imagine transforming our body, our possessions, wealth, and positive potential into whatever fulfills the needs of others. We give this to them, imbuing them with happiness and feeling joyful ourselves. The taking and giving meditation is a practice to increase our love and compassion. It takes great courage to do this practice, let alone actually taking on others' misfortunes and giving them our happiness. We don't want to even think about it. We don't even want to think of experiencing our own suffering, let alone think of taking on the miseries of others. Usually we want all the good things for ourselves and jealously protect whatever fortune we have. Yet, here in the taking and giving meditation, we imagine taking others' suffering and giving them our body, possessions, and our positive potential, because this practice contradicts the wishes of our self-centered thought. It is a profound practice for cultivating love and compassion. If you wish to do this meditation, listen to the audio recording of me leading it on my website. I don't know how to pronounce .org. You can also find more extensive written instructions there on how to do it. In short, Bodhisattva is really the source of all good and happiness in the world, and verses 10 and 11 instruct us on ways to generate this powerful, profound and noble mind. If you want to read more, download the PDF of this book. Yeah, I'll link it down below. So you just go find this book in the link, then you can download this book. So lastly, we'll do a few. This is actually a book with a lot of like short quotes. Then we'll just pick a number and for the short quote. Okay, let's see. Number 103. 103. Okay. I'll just take a short quote from here. So we are gonna finish already. 103. Okay, so Vipassana. Okay, Vipassana is a meditation. Yeah, it's a type of meditation. Vipassana means various ways of seeing. Okay, so Vipassana always steps back to see things more clearly, whereas Samatha means tranquility, which is also like, it's a type of meditation that helps you become calmer. Then Vipassana is a meditation that helps you become more aware by observing the things. Yeah, Samatha dives in and gets absorbed in the object. Stepping back and watching allows understanding to rise. You can search up on Vipassana and Samatha. It's two types of meditation. Different types of meditation. Okay, thank you, Pao 3. Now I'll go to the last Pao. So welcome, Pao 4. Then we'll pick a page from these 3 books. So now pick the first one. What page? For Pao 4. So Pao 4, I think that Weaver of Visions represent the Queen of Cups. So it's more about love, being compassionate, feminine, qualities. So now I'll pick a page. What page does Pao 4 need right now? 108. 108. How can I cultivate compassion and confidence in goodness while healing from the pain of losing a loved one to suicide? Okay, let's not talk about suicide, but let's just read. Let's look at how the qualities mentioned earlier, interconnection, compassion, and potential for enlightenment, relate to those healing from suicide. First, compassion for ourselves and for the one who committed suicide is called for. It is easy for our ego mind to feel guilty and blame ourselves for another's suicide. It's easy for the ego mind to be angry at the suicidal person for taking his or her life and causing us to suffer. It is easy for the ego mind to sink into grief of losing a loved one and immerse ourselves in self-pity. But these emotions are like clouds in the sky of the spacious purity of our mind and heart. They are not us, we are not them. They arise and pass through our minds. We don't need to grasp onto them or to fight them. Imbuing them with a reality that they lack is not beneficial. This is especially true with guilt and self-blame, thinking, if only I had done XYZ, my loved one would not have committed suicide. It's not realistic. The other person chose to end his life. We cannot control his mind and his choices. We can influence people, but we cannot control them. We may try to influence them in one direction, but their mind chooses to go in another. The disturbing emotions of guilt anger, resentment, self-pity, and so on are functions of our self-preoccupied attitude. This self-centeredness or ego mind has kept us trapped in misery from time without beginning. Not only is self-centeredness not beneficial for our own and others' happiness, it is also not realistic. There are infinite living beings in the universe, so our happiness and misery are not all that exists. Our suffering is not the only suffering. Let's place our own pain within the perspective of all the varied experiences that living beings have at this moment. That doesn't mean we are bad if we temporarily get stuck in disturbing emotions. Let's not add another layer of delusion on top of what we are already feeling by telling ourselves that we are selfish and wrong for feeling depressed or preoccupied. Rather, since those are unrealistic and unbeneficial feelings, let's ask ourselves, what are the more realistic and suitable ones? How do I cultivate them? Here is where compassion for ourselves comes in. Compassion is not self-pity. Rather, it is acknowledging our pain and confusion, wishing for ourselves to be free from them, and then letting go of them. With compassion for ourselves, we can move on and reinvigorate our life. What do we move on to? What do we consciously cultivate? A heart that cares about others, the feeling of connection and compassion we have for the dear one who committed suicide is for one living being. There are infinite living beings throughout the universe. What could happen if we were to tear down the walls of clinging to one person and open our hearts to loving all beings simply because they exist? We can share the love we have for one person with many others, increasing our capacity to give and receive love while we do so. Many of those who have survived the death of a loved one due to suicide have used compassion for others to help themselves heal. Immediately after the suicide, the loss is fresh, and grieving. The process of adapting to new circumstances is just beginning. Some of you may not yet be ready to step into far-reaching compassion, but trust yourself that you will reach the point where you can transform your experience in such a way that activates you to reach out and help others. Your mind may have the tendency to get stuck in self-centered patterns of thinking, replaying an event repeatedly in your mind. Remember that your dear loved one died once and it was over. But each time you replay the mental video entitled, "What if?" or "How could he have?", you experience the trauma again. Learn to catch yourself when you start to replay these mental videos. Push the mental stop button and come back to the present moment. Enjoy this moment because it is what exists right now. It is important to place your grief in context. Every one of us has experienced unbelievable pain. That does not discount our individual suffering, but it places it in the context of the big picture. That big picture is that pain and grief exist and they have no power, no owner. We don't have a monopoly on it. No individual has a monopoly on pain. We are all the same in wanting happiness and wishing to be free from suffering. Feel that sameness. Know that you share the same wish with all other living beings. Feel compassion for all those who experience misery like you. Send them your love, care, compassion, and understanding. Your relationship with the one who committed suicide is not the only relationship in your life. You have a full life and there is goodness in your heart to share with others. Avoid getting stuck in a narrow way of thinking that focuses only on this one person. Also, when thinking about your dear one, remember that he or she had a full life too. That person's entire life was not misery, and the meaning and value of his or her life is not defined by how he or she died. Let the fullness of that person's life and your life fill your heart. Okay, this is quite long, so let's go to the second part. Second book. Okay, what page does this person need? What page does this person need? Page 40. The three poisons. Attached to your loved ones, you are stirred up like water. Hating your enemies, you burn like fire. In the darkness of confusion, you forget what to adopt and discard. Give up your homeland. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. The three poisonous attitudes. The second verse is very powerful. It begins, attached to your loved ones, you are stirred up like water. Is that true or not? When we are attached to people, we cling to them. I love you so much, I can't be separated from you. Is your mind peaceful at that time? No, we are stirred up but like churning water. We worry if something will happen to them. We are afraid they will stop loving us. We are anxious about not pleasing them. We daydream about how wonderful they are and long to be with them. Our mind is not peaceful because it is overwhelmed by attachment. Attachment and love are similar in that both of them draw us to the other person. But in fact, these two emotions are quite different. When we are attached, we are drawn to someone because he or she meets our needs. In addition, there are lots of strings attached to our affection that we may or may not realize are there. For example, I love you because you make me feel good. I love you as long as you do this and that. Things that I approve of. I love you because you are mine. You are my spouse or my child or my parents or my friend. With attachment, we go up and down like a yo-yo. Depending on how the other person treats us, we obsess. What do they think of me? Do they love me? Have I offended them? How can I become what they want me to be so that they love me even more? It's not very peaceful, is it? We are definitely stirred up. On the other hand, the love we are generating on the Dharma path is unconditional. We simply want others to have happiness and the causes of happiness without any strings attached, without any expectations of what these people will do for us and how good they make us feel. Hating your enemies, you burn like fire. True or not true? Here, the word enemies doesn't necessarily mean Saddam Hussein. It means anybody we don't like. It could be the guy that cut you off when you are driving on the highway. It could be the colleague that you are jealous of because she got a promotion and you didn't. It could be the neighbor next door who lied to you. It could be the thief who stole your stuff. It could be the person who scratched your car. It could be your kid who took the battery out of your car when you had to go to work. Whoever we happen to be upset with at that moment becomes our enemy. We burn with anger towards the people who disturb our peace and interfere with us getting what we want. Some people express their anger, others stuff it inside and become cold. Whether we explode or implode is not a state of good mental health. In the darkness of confusion, you forget what to adopt and discard. When we are confused or spaced out, when we are intoxicating ourselves with television or media, we can't think straight. And we forget what are the causes of happiness that we need to adopt and practice on the path. Likewise, we are unable to determine the true causes of suffering, and so we are unable to differentiate what we need to abandon and discard on the path. Our ethical conduct becomes nebulous. We practice the path incorrectly and then wonder why we are not progressing. We begin to think that drinking and drugging bring happiness and that getting up early in the morning and meditating brings suffering. The mind is befuddled in the darkness of confusion, and although our wish is to be happy, we create the karmic causes for suffering instead. These three lines, the first line indicating attachment, the second anger, and the third line confusion, point out the three poisonous attitudes. They poison our happiness because when they are active in our mind, creating negative karma happens easily. What is the solution to these three? The ultimate remedy is to realize reality, the emptiness of inherent existence. The temporary solution is to give up your homeland. What does that mean? The deeper meaning is to remove from our mind of views, attitudes, and emotions that form the familiar homeland of samsara. It also means to remove obstacles from situations in which everything and everyone are so familiar to us that we continue to express our habitual dysfunctional emotional and behavioral patterns again and again. For example, some families have what almost resembles a script with the roles that each member plays. So every family dinner, the brother and sister compete, the son argues with his father, the daughter succumbs to the mother's will, the husband and wife pick at each other. In those situations, we find ourselves acting just as we did when we were a 10-year-old kid, because the family dynamic is the same as all those years ago. Because the situation is so familiar and we have played a certain role for so many years, we and the others keep acting in the same way even though no one is happy in the situation. Every family dynamic is a little bit different, but often this is what we get into when we know people too well. We just play out the same thing. Dad continually asks when you are going to figure out what you're going to do with your life and get a good high-paying job. Mom continually asks when you are going to get married and have a family, or if you are already married, when you're going to have kids, or if you already have kids, why don't you raise your kids this way? Your daughter competes with you, your sister competes with you, your brother plays the joker, you get into the same old interactions again and again, just like you did when you were kids. The meaning of give up your homeland is to give up these situations. That doesn't mean you stop going to family dinners. It means when you're at a family dinner, you don't play your role. Be the adult that you are. Be a wise adult with a helpful and kind attitude. If you don't play your role, others can't play theirs. If Dad asks you, as he does every year, isn't it time you figured what you are going to do with your life and get a high-paying job, instead of becoming defensive or rebellious like you did when you were a teenager? Say truthfully, yes, maybe it is that I'm doing the best I can. I enjoy the work I do, even though you would like to see me get paid more and have more prestige. Give up being defensive and be comfortable with who you are. We tend to have a lot of authority issues when we reenact with our boss, our Dharma teacher, and whoever else we see as being in a position of authority. Giving up our homeland means to let these go. That doesn't mean we ignore them. We explore them, understand their origins and their effects, and then realizing that it is painful and not at all beneficial to keep playing out our authority issues again and again, we give them up. If you choose a monastic way of life, practicing in a monastery is recommended. If you stay with your family and old friends, you will tend to think, speak and behave as you always have with them. Transforming your body, speech and mind will be more difficult due to the force of habit that comes to play in a familiar environment with familiar people. In Dharma practice, we are trying to uproot wrong views and ways of thinking that we have had since beginningless time. We are trying to let go of emotions and attitudes that society assumes are real and beneficial. Staying with a group of like-minded people who are trying to do the same thing as you is much easier. If we live with the people we are attached to, our practice will be difficult because our attachment will distract us. If we stay in the same hostile environment, our anger will increase, and applying antidotes to it will be difficult when we are a beginner. When we hang around with people who are confused, our old friends who drink and drug, they will do the same. We will do the same. The reason we established Sravasti Abbey is so that people who want to lead a monastic life can leave their homeland and come live here. Here, our days are structured around Dharma practice. We are doing Dharma activities frequently throughout the day, so it's easier to learn, think, and meditate. We practice acknowledging our mental afflictions, so resolving conflicts is done in a different manner than you usually find in the world. In short, living in a monastery provides a way to practice that isn't available in the city or when we have a very busy working life. So there are different ways to practice the Dharma, and leaving your homeland has different meanings according to each one. This is not a prescription for everybody to move out of their house tomorrow. The advice is more about giving up the preconceptions that form the homeland of our mind. It's powerful. Give up our homeland as is a call for us to change, whether we do this change as a layperson or as a monastic. Okay, so lastly, I'll pick out like a quote or a phrase from this book. So, what number does this pile need? 159. So this is the last part. 159. Thank you for coming this far, cause usually it's not easy to come this far. In Vipassana, the object serves as a means. Okay, Vipassana means various ways of seeing. It's also, if you translate to English, it's called insight. So it's a type of meditation. It's like observing mindfulness. It's a type of meditation. You can call it that. The object serves as a means to help us develop right awareness, concentration, and wisdom. If the mind reacts with any kind of defilement, lobha, dosa, or moha, I don't know what it does mean, you have wrong awareness, and so concentration and wisdom cannot arise. So thank you for coming this far. This is the end of Part 4. Thank you very much for coming this far. Thank you. I'll end it here. So